Hello everybody, in today's video I'll be doing the relics and artifacts. Someone was asking for help with it, so hopefully this helps out anybody else. So for starters, what are relics and artifacts? The artifacts give you just certain kind of things that are mainly just for like spawn eggs that, give you certain things. For instance, the cherry, right? You can do stuff with it. The bee thing is actually the most of an interesting one. It lets you summon a grizzly bear that at the end, it lets you summon more of that stuff, though it does cost 1 million per bear. And they do not have like, you can't have babies with them. You have to keep making each individual one. So that is up to you. It's going to be way down the line before you get to that point. But for most of you guys, the ones you will want are the relics. These are the ones that give you all the interesting stuff. Some are much better than the others. For instance, I'm loving my Midnight Robe. If you go into the Skull Cavern, most of the monsters can't actually even see you with the passive ability with it. So for starters, what is the way you can get them? First off, earlier on, you're probably going to go under your adventuring, and this is where you can get that split chance between choosing the artifacts and the relics. I recommend everybody going for the relic ones first. Remember, you can always regress later down the line. Because again, like unless you're wanting specific things, out of all of them, the only really good thing is A, the Princess Hairbrush, which falls between like Diamond Sword and the Iridium Sword, which is the Netherite Sword. So it's between that. So it's pretty good. The only way you can repair it though is with another one or Prismatic Shard, or if you have Mending. And the other good thing is the Token of Unity, which you can use that with a Prismatic Shard to get more prismatic shards, or you can use that with a Boomcat slime and then you can get yourself a Spark Cat slime. That's another very good way of doing it. But out of all of them, those are the only ones I think that's good out of this thing. Yes, you get some books that artifacts and relics are worth 200% more. Then, you can kind of go down this line if that's what you so choose. And the intro to algorithms, which is no more brain damage, but there is another easy way of doing this. You just need to use a Silk Touch pickaxe and just mine all the lead. It doesn't cause the brain damage clouds, and then just break the lead in the overworld. And that best one again is the relics. You get all these cool things that do so many interesting stuff. And then when you hover over it, it tells you, like what it does too, like in loot chests, right? So if I choose this, I'll have higher odds of finding stuff in this chest. Like say I didn't get it generated. I go in here. It takes a while to load for some reason. You can see, I mean, yeah, I didn't get anything, but you have a higher odds from it. And right here, you can see we did get something from the artifact side. And the other active way is these guys right here, the oak supply crates. And it's actually any of the supply crates in the Skull Cavern. They all have a 0.8% chance of giving you either the artifact or the relic. You just need to use an axe to break it faster, or you can just break it with your bare hands. And it gives you a number of things. For the passive ways, for the artifact trove, we're going to need a circus fish, which can only be caught in the summertime in fresh water, any weather, and daytime. And for the biad, it has to be springtime in a river, either raining or snowing at night. Now for both fishes, you will need a population of 8, so that's going to mean you're going to need at least a minimum of, I think like 8 days, Technically 3 days, then you have to finish a quest and whatnot, but you basically just put in your fish, like so, and then you're good. Now, if you did accidentally place a fish in something that you didn't like, you can see it says right click with the fishing rod to clear the fish type. Now, the only thing you do have to know is when you do that, it does delete the fish. So be careful with that. And I did put it like this just so you guys can see it does work side by side. So if you did have, like a huge chunk going like one way, right? It just needs a gap in between and it will work. And it works the same way. Like you can go lower and place them underneath, or place them above them too. Like so, right? Like this would work. You just need to obviously just put the dirt all around it and then fill the top with water. But we're just going to force the days and let it go by and get to 8 population. And if you did want to see all this stuff yourself, you could just hover over your fish and press U. Scroll down to the fish pond tab, and then you can see at 8+ population, you have an 8% chance of getting the artifact trove, and is the same thing with the biad fish, also 8 population. And then every new day, you can see there's now a fish. We're at 1, now it's another new day, and then you can see now there's 2. Now the only thing you do have to know is you do have to clear the check mark And then once you're at 3 fishes, you have to wait one more day. And then there's going to be a yellow question mark. And then this is, you can see what's going to happen when you right click it. It tells you 16 more batteries. Now yours may be different, but when you bring those batteries to him, you just right click and then makes him feel at home. And then you can see now it shows 5 fish. And then at population 5, there should be another quest. It wants 4 furniture boxes. And then you can see now it says 7 population. And then you can see now it's at 7, so the next day there'll be another quest. And then you can see the circus fish wants an artifact trove. So we'll just give him that. And then you can see we unlocked now up to 10 fishes. And then this one wants 8 dirty chai. And then you have to wait one more day until there's 8 fish. And then you're going to start to be eligible to get, the artifact troves. And yes, this whole thing can be automated. You just need the fish pond basket. You'll just, take it, feed it with sparkstone, and just fill it in the middle. And then you would just put a barrel underneath. And then you just grab some sparkstone, right click the thing, throw it in there. And now it will daily collect us for it. So you can see we got green. And then in a little bit, it will, collect it all. And now it's in our chest. And this is the only way for the relics that we will have to be doing for. There is a better way for the artifact troves, which will be the raccoons. Because the raccoons, so they just need 3 affection. But you can see every single one of these things needs a 50% chance to roll. And then a 17% chance on top of that. So it comes out to being around like 8.5% chance of being able to like actually get your artifact trove. But it's much simpler to do these things, so it's probably worth it in the end. And you get trash bags, which I love my trash bags. And then for later game stuff, you have the Age Starry Cardi and the Ominous Trial Keys, which Ominous Trial Keys you're only really going to get from killing mobs in the Skull Cavern with a small chance of like the ones that have like the health bar and all that have, like the 80 plus health, or in the trial chambers itself. And later down the line for these guys, you can make the Age Star Cardi. Again, it's going to be pretty far down there because you have to then age it and it costs that. And then like the star fruit itself is pretty expensive. Again, raccoons are probably going to be the way you want to do it for this. And then the Biad for the relics. Or better yet, you can get a lot of the troves from finding the ancient city. I just did one myself and I got, I think, like 12 relic troves. Granted, I did have 4 ancient cities, but still quite a bit of those relics. Now, starting out the amphibian boots, the only way you can level this up is either swimming in the water or running in the rain. Another way you can get XP is if you make, liquid hyper XP, use a prismatic shard, and you can get relic experience. That can help boost it up, and then you can make the experience bottles, which will help it out. But that's, again, way further down the line. But just know that is a possibility of doing it. But further down the line, you can only level up certain categories maximum, right? Like you can't max out every single one of them. So be wary of that. So for instance, this one, right? I can level up this up to max and I can re-roll. Now, sadly, the luck roll has been disabled, it seems, where if you re-roll, you would have a certain time, like, at a certain point, it would be maxed out. For instance here, right? And we can accelerate now in the water for 17 seconds, and it increases my speed by 13% every second. So that means by near the end of it, I'm going to be doing, like 200 times, or not 200% faster in the water. But now you can see, right? I can't level this up. And so you can regress by, spending some experience, bring it back, and then you can now level this one up. This one, again, it's kind of niche. You're running in the rain, depending on the duration. And once again, speed multiplier, duration in seconds. Last one, gives you the ability to not consume air while underwater. Pretty good. You probably want to max this one out if you do explore a lot in the water. Next up is the Aqua Walker. How you level it up is you need to run on the water. It only has one ability. You can re-roll it. And once it's max level, you can see we could run on water for almost 2 minutes. So if we just put this on, you can see we run to the water and we don't sink. We can hold crouch though, and we will go in the water, but we'll just pop right back out after, and we can just run on water as though it's land. Next up is the Bastion Ring. How you can level it up is killing zombified piglins, and piglin brutes. You also get 1 experience point for every additional trade. So it has 2 abilities, one that you cannot level it up. What it does is it makes piglins neutral to you, and they indicate you where a bastion's nearby. For instance, we can put this on, summon a piglin, and you can see he has a spiral around him. And you can see this arrow pointing this way. So we can just go this way, and eventually we're going to find that Bastion Fortress thing. The other ability is called Respect, and you have a 50% chance to get another trade result. So by default, you have 1 unit, but at max level, you get 5. So this is what it normally trade looks like without it. So we'll just do 10, and I'll be back with you guys when it's all done. Alrighty, so in 10 trades, this is what we got. Now we're going to put on the ring, and we'll do it again. And then this is the one with the ring. Obviously, low sample size, right? But you get the picture. You get more trades out of it. So it's worth it in the long run if you want to do this for like fire resistance potions, right? Next up is the Blazing Flask. Now, how it works is you get experience point for every time you're flying within the scope of the fire. So how it works is you can take your Blazing Flask. How it works is this. You can see the Blazing Flask. This is what it looks like. I lowered it down the levels, but it has a detection range of 2.5 blocks. Basically, if you're within that range of your fire, you'll be able to fly. This is like how fast you can fly and how high you can fly. So you can just grab yourself some netherrack, flint and steel, and bam, you got fire. Now you take your Blazing Flask and then you right click the fire. And then you can see now you guys is a little active. And when you're holding spacebar, granted, it's not being God mode, but I can hold spacebar now. And you can see I'm going up to like about 4.9 blocks, whatever it was. I have to be within that 2.5 range, right? You can see the moment I kind of come over here, it goes down. But if I add another flint to it, now you can see that same spot where we fell before, we can now go out a little bit more, almost twice as much. And I think it is like additive like that, right? Something like that. But when you level it up, you will need a lot of experience. Oh, and that's interesting. I guess there is a range that you can actually see, but for some reason when I'm throwing the particles down, you can see it. But without it, I don't see it. But with that now, we can go ahead and level it up to max. And then you can see now it's almost 5 blocks there, right? Flight speed is 5.2 blocks per second. That could use some leveling. And this one is 14.8 blocks altitude. Now, I don't want to re-roll this just because this is pretty much perfect. But you can see that same thing now. When we right-click it, we can now fly super high, 15 blocks almost. And then we can go out however much it said, right? Let's see. Where does it show it? There you go. That's our range all the way over here. So again, if you go by that one row, 16 fires, we can go out to, I think it was like there or something. And then you can see like I lower it down. So for every single row, it does peak out though. You can see that flight speed's kind of slow, kind of sad. You can't really be too fast about it. But once you get to like the halfway of a chunk full of it, you can see now you're getting like those diminishing returns. So, I mean, if you hit that, underneath your base somewhere, you can go ahead and, have like temporary flight everywhere. And this is what I mean by that flight thing. It doesn't necessarily just mean the ground. If I put it over here, you can see I can fly up 15 blocks, then over here. And so it's like you could just like keep going up higher and higher and higher. Now, the only thing is, again, you won't take fall damage. But yeah, the optimal way, I don't remember where it was, where this perfect spot was, but it did work up to a 13 by 13. And by 13 by 13, I mean like, 13 chunks this way, 13 chunks that way. So I guess a 26 by 26 from this middle point. Next up is the Hunter Belt. Now, how you level it up is you need a pet dog. You'll need like your pet dog, pet wolf, whatever. And you can see 1 experience point for every attack the pet makes. And you get load capacity, which just means 1 extra slot of like a charm slot. So you can just level that all up. And then when we put it on, you can see we have all these charms. Now, sadly, it is kind of like placed because it says like relics, right? It doesn't actually let you place them on there. Certain relics do count as a charm though. Like for instance, your Spore Sack, right? That counts as a charm. So you don't really need it maximum because it looks like there's only like 1 other thing that does work on it. But if you do like cosmetics, it works on the charm slots as well. You can go ahead and just go to your JEI, and and then just type in slot and then the colons and then charm. And then you can see all the stuff that would fit in your charm slot. But the cool thing is actually your animal thing. You can see by default, you can get it to 200% damage multiplier. And at max level, almost 500% more damage or 5 times more damage. Next up is the icebreakers. You can get experience from falling down essentially and then activating your ability. And the further you fall, the more XP you'll get for every, 3 blocks. Your passive ability is you have increased resistance to knockback. You can see it increases the speed of falling, the knockback resistance, and negates slippering. At max level, you have 100% knockback. And the other one is the active ability. Basically, when you're falling, you're going to create a shockwave. You have a minimum damage that the thing will do, and the maximum radius at which it goes. So we'll just level this all the way up, and you can see we're going to do 15 damage at the minimum at an 18 block range. Now, how you do this ability is you want to find a keybind that you can press readily active, right? So you'll go to options, controls, keybinds, and type in ability. And set this to something that you'll click, often. For instance, you could set this to like, say E or something. I have a mouse that has side buttons, so I'm just using that. When you do this, you can see nothing happens, right? But if I come up here, if we do this, you have to hold it down, jump, click it, and then you can see a tiny little range. Now, depending on how high you jump, right, the range changes. So for instance, from this high, right, same thing, we hold it, click it, and then you can see it went out pretty far. Now let's go all the way up there. And same thing, just so you know, if you have this shoe on, right, you're not going to take fall damage because you're doing basically the superhero landing. So from up here, we'll just jump, click the ability, and you can see how far it goes out. And if there were any mobs or chickens in our way, they'll obviously, die. Next up is the Ender Hands. How you get experience is you have to teleport at least 10 blocks, and for every 10 blocks, you'll get 1 experience. You have 2 abilities. One is a passive one where Endermen are just not going to be angry with you anymore. So you can stare at them and you'll be fine. The second one is you get the ability to teleport. It has to be with a target, sadly. So how it works is same thing. You want that button, right? And we're going to take a chicken. And what you do is just have to look at that chicken. And when you left click, right, it has to be on, on point. You can just teleport. Like so. And there is no cooldown, so you can do it like pretty fast. If you can. At max level, you can do it almost 80 blocks away. So the Holy Locket grants the wearer the ability to turn enemy healing against them. I'll be honest, I don't really know how this ability thing works right here. It looks pretty identical to me, and I don't even use it for this point. The one that I really like about this is Repentance. Now you can see this by just low level. 5 block radius, 0.9 damage per charge. Now how you get that charge is kind of strange because again, like can heal or something about that again. But once you place them down, you can see that they're just taking fire damage. And we're not in like daytime, it's just the necklace. You can see within that 5 blocks radius, right? You can see now 12 blocks radius. And I mean, we just like spawn them in. And like you could just see like the fire damage. It just be pretty good in the Skull Cavern. And the other one is an active ability. So if you have charges, you'll gain invincibility. Now again, it's a bit of a weird thing for me. All you gotta do is, hold it down, choose it, and then bam, you are now invincible for a little bit. Next up is the Drowned Belts. You get 1 experience point for every level of enchantment of Riptide. So we have here a Trident. We got Riptide 3. Every time we essentially put this on first, every time we hold it down and let go, that action right there just gave us 3 experience. And then obviously we're now on a cooldown, but every time you do that, you can level it up that way. You get 4 abilities with it. Some are not that good. One is that same thing like the other belt. You get 2 slots for other relics, but again, not many relics that you can actually equip in here other than, Spore Sack, whatnot. Dead Weight reduces the swimming speed and increases the sinking speed. So if we fall in, you can see I'm holding spacebar trying to get out, but it's much harder versus if I were to take it off, and then you can see we got out there pretty easy. Water flow increases your damage underwater. you can get it to 200%. Obviously, at max level, you get 400% more damage or 4 times more damage. And then probably the best one to do is just going to be this one. If you want mobility, because you can use the ability without water and just level it all the way up, and we can get 0.2 seconds. So with that same, thing, we can go into, say, just normal mode, right? Put on that belt and then just hold it. We could look up and we can just go by. You can essentially fly with this. But obviously, you still take fall damage. So be careful of that. But something to think about with these is if you remember the icebreakers going on certain blocks, you can cause damage. So with this thing, we can just look up, press our ability, we won't take fall damage anymore, and we can just kill things like that. And remember, depending on whatever level your earthquake is, you can do quite a bit of damage. For instance, this one, right? We do a minimum of 15 damage with a big radius. And that way you also solve your falling problem where you can just, do this so high and then just click it and you take no more fall damage. Just a little idea. Next up is the Chorus Inhibitor. You get 1 experience point for every 10 blocks of teleportation. Now, this one is a little bit of end game thing because you will need chorus fruits. But how it works is you can eat a chorus fruit, and when you eat it, it will teleport you wherever you're looking at. For instance, on this low level, we have 28 blocks recharge of 9 seconds. So we can go ahead and take our chorus fruit, put on the ring first, and you can see now we have a purple beam. If we go off the chorus fruit, we no longer see it. But you can see the range at which you can kind of like go, right? So if I eat it, it teleports to it. And you can see now we have a cooldown on the chorus fruit. Now, if we were to level up the ring to maximum, we can get 85 blocks, recharge of 4.4 seconds. Obviously, you can get a little bit better, but you can now see we can like go all the way up there. And even though we're aiming at like the side of the blocks, right? It teleports us to the like top of it. So like look at that. That whole mountain, we traversed it really fast. Now, yeah, there is the grappling hook in the game, right? But on top of it, right? You can use this. We could just jump, and I guess not fast enough, but you get the idea. And another thing for endgame, the Elytra Booster. You get 1 experience point for every 10 seconds of burning fuel placed in the internal buffer. What the ability does is using fuel on the relic, you can use the ability of the rush forward, consuming the fuel. You can see at max level, we have 321 units of fuel capacity and how much blocks per second we can get. So what you have to do is just normal fuel. You can take coal and just left click onto the booster pack. Now it is sadly slow because there's no, I guess, shift way of doing it. You have to just left click. But putting it on with the booster thing, sadly, it's not like you just go like that, right? You have to like be pretty quick about it and hold your ability. And you can see we have like a jetpack essentially, right? And so what is neat about it is you can just kind of like guide it exactly like where your mouse is like going. So you can be like, oh, but the fuel does go down fast. And I was just showing that you can use like lava as well as blaze rods. And they do have their own like, like limit also. Like for instance, like 1 coal versus a block of coal and the lava. They all have different times. I'll let you guys figure out which ones you want to use. Frankly, I would just go with the coal and just turn them into blocks because it's easier to do and manage, and they stack. The horse flute, probably one of the best relics you can get early game, and it's pretty easy to get. You'll get them from the geodes from using it on the extractor. You get 1 experience point for every 25 blocks overcome by your horse. The portable stall ability basically lets you just store a horse, and when you leave 16 blocks, the horse will automatically teleport into it. And the second ability, plot of treatment. Basically, when the horse is inside the flute, it will slowly gain health, and the higher the level, the more health it'll get. Now, you gotta find yourself a horse. That's gonna be the hard part in early game and finding a good horse. But The easy of it is you're just gonna have to do the normal like mounting system, right? You just keep doing it over and over and over until eventually it likes you, like so. And then once he likes you, you can give him a saddle. You can either just uh, have the saddle and then right click him, or you can press, like, while you're on him, press E. You can put on the saddle, put it off, put the, horse armor, whatnot. But yeah, that's how it works. Then you just take your flute and you can right click him. And now it is your like your summoned ability like pet, right? Now you can just click. That's where he is. You can go ahead and ride your little horsey wherever you want. And oh, look, like I need to go up there. Let me just not go up there. And there you go. We left the range and he teleported. And then say you're up to your hill now. You can just summon your horse once again. So find yourself a good horse and use it wisely. This is how it works too. You can see I just hit him. He has however many hearts. If I hold him in here for a little bit, while I'm just talking, let's just kill this chicken. And yeah, that seems about good enough. You can see now he's almost full health. Now, obviously, mine is, max level. Yours will be much slower. But yeah, your horse still can die, right? If we kill the horse, we can no longer summon him. So if your horse goes low health, stick him in the flute, wait some time, and then you'll be fine once again. Ice skates. 1 experience point for every second of acceleration from the ability skating. You got 4.4 seconds of, speed multiplier, and you get 30% per second. You can level this all the way up and get some more stuff. I think I'm missing some levels, but I don't really care for these ones because I don't like ice in general. But the second one is just ram. So while you're, speeding, however fast you're going, you'll get more damage. Next up, one of my favorite ones, Infinity Ham. 1 experience point for every piece eaten. So it's just like any food. So just hold it down, eat it. You can see we gain regeneration and whatnot. Hover over it, you can see we got 3 experience. This one increases how much regen you get. You can see we're at max level. The higher the level that goes, it's better. And at level 5, you unlock another ability for it. This fam right here, you can see we're still at 2. But the reason why I have it like this is because I went into the alchemy. Alchemy, basically what it does is when you stick a potion onto it, it gives you an effect. For instance, we got 20 seconds. I personally still like to use regeneration. So say we took some damage, right? Well, you can just eat that and be sure not to fully eat your ham, okay? The one caveat with this thing is, yes, we get our like ability, whatnot, but if we eat our ham completely, like say you were starved and you just chomp them all the way down, right? You will lose your potion effect. So if we just eat, and let me do the hunger effect real quick. If I eat, you can see the thing is almost gone, right? But the boost stacks, right? We get 20 seconds per stack, but you can see our ham is almost gone. If I set myself hunger one more time and we complete it, there you go. Now it's a bone. So we just lost our regeneration ability. So now if we just do effect clear, you can see when this regens a little bit, if we eat it, you can see no more regeneration effect. And then once you do it, you could just take your ability thing and then just left click and it has the effect once again. But remember not to finish it. As long as you don't finish it, it will always have that effect. That's why I just like the regeneration. You can, put other stuff in there, like for instance, like the turtle one, right? You can get some resistance, so take less damage. Though you do give yourself the debuff of slowness. I just prefer regeneration too. But go ahead and pick and choose what you want. And yeah, enjoy. The JellyFish Necklace, 1 point experience for every activation of the ability Electric Discharge. So as a passive ability where if you run into things, things will take damage. And for instance, at level 5 or at reroll 5, you get 2.5 damage. It has another passive ability, the player does not sink in water. Basically meaning if you go into water, you don't really sink, right? You kind of like float there. Yeah, you may slowly kind of like keep drifting down, but in comparison to like normal, right? If I took that off, you can see that we are sinking much faster than before. You can see I have a drowned belt. If you remember the drowned belt, one of the things is your sinking rate increases by almost 500%. If we come back up here, you can see if we put it on, does not change. If we took off the necklace, you can see we're sinking much faster. We can't even swim up. But if we put the necklace back on, we can swim up perfectly fine. Now, the only thing that does get affected from this is the swimming speed from the belt. But elsewise, it negates that ability of sinking and you can't get out. But the reason why I like this JellyFish necklace is in conjunction with its other ability, paralysis. While your discharge happens, they get paralysis effect for 1.5 seconds. Now, for all those people who play other video games and understand how stun locking works, basically look at this. We can level up our damage to like basically maximum. This is fine if you want, you can increase it a little bit. But we are in survival mode. We have the warden, and look at this. We could just, as long as we're moving back and forth in the warden, he can't do anything to us. He is just constantly stun locked. He can't attack. So it's a cheesy way of being able to kill the warden, but sadly the warden doesn't actually give you anything. But if you had troubles before, the only thing is you gotta be careful. Make sure you turn off your thing so it doesn't, glow. Because if it glows and you walk up to your farm animals, well, they're dead. So be careful of that. The leather belt, just one experience point for equipping charms. That's all it does, charms. So cosmetics and that one spore sack, whatever. That's all it's used for. So the Magma Walkers, basically what it does is you take no more damage from hot blocks, as well as letting you walk on lava. Granted, there's a period of time, but leveling it up increases how long you can go for. So for instance, say before, right, you take them off, you walk over it, you take a hit. You put on the boots, you get the sound, but that does not do the damage. And then how you level it up is you can do two things. You could do it passively, where you're just kind of like on the lava. And you can see, since we have 50 seconds, right? You can see it just passively going. You don't actually have to walk on it because it's just like from the heat, right? And you can just walk on it. Just be careful you don't crouch. Because if you crouch, you will go into the lava and you just die. So be careful of that. The Midnight Robe, one of my favorite relics. It's amazing in the Skull Cavern, especially if you level it up. And this is one of the easier ones to level up. All you have to do is go into your caves, go attack things, and it levels up very fast. I recommend just leveling up the Vanish side and get this to maximum. And the speed multiplier is nasty. I hate this thing because it changes the FOV. So for instance, if we get a torch, you can like see like the FOV change, and it kills me. So thank you for the comment. Some tell me you just go to options, accessibility, turn the effects off, and it no longer does the thing, because that bothered me a lot. So maybe it bothered you a lot. But how it works is quite simply, you can go ahead and attack things in the night and you have increased damage. Specifically, you have that 70%, whatever. And when you don't kill them, right, there becomes a circle around you. So if I hit this guy, right, I am now visible. The moment I kill the golem, I'm invisible once again. And you can see how it works really well in the Skull Cavern because the Skull Cavern's dark already. Granted, I use this thing so you guys can see all the stuff so I don't have to bother with the editing of the light levels because I have no idea. And don't really want to put the effort for that. As long as you can just do this at nighttime, have night vision, but nothing can hurt you. Because everything you are just invisible. And I do want to mention, I think it's impossible to get higher than 70% because I have been re-rolling this like 1,000 times or something. Like I just spammed it, right? And I would stare at this dot to see if it ever gets filled. And I never see it. Like over here, you can see it blinks through it. But never once have I seen it pop over there. So I'm thinking 70% or like 4 dots up here, 5 dots over here. You can never get 5 dots on the damage multiplier. Next up is the Quiver. Has 4 abilities, and you get 1 experience point for every 10 blocks to hit target. So it's a little bit harder to level up because again, you have to aim for the target pretty far away. But first ability is you can basically store arrows inside of it. You can see it comes with 5 units by default if you have it at level 5. You can level it up and increase how much it goes to. Specifically, all it just means is this, right? Say we have, arrows in here. We could just right click, take it out. We have a stack. We hold it, left click in there. No more arrows in our inventory. Just ignore those. We can go ahead and shoot it. And you can see now there is 63. The second ability is Leap. It knocks the player away from looking the direction, inflicting vanish effect until landing. And here's your stats durations. Basically how it works is if you have your ability slot opened, you have to kind of look towards the ground. And what happens is when you do, as long as you hold the arrow, you are currently invisible and you can see we can aim and shoot. If I can, gonna press F5 fast enough. Let's just do that one more time. So there you go. We are invisible in the air and you have that whatever duration until you let go of it. Third ability is you might have noticed the increased bowstring pull, right? And you can level it up. Here's the default by 200. Pretty fast, right? You can level it up to 500%, so it's pretty much almost instant. Even if you did enchant your bow with infinity, it still takes arrows from the quiver. So we at 41, we shoot it. Now we're at 40, so it does not work with it. Even if you did have arrow outside, it just prioritizes the quiver first. So do know that. And then the last ability basically just summons a bunch of arrow rains in an area wherever you call out. Obviously, the higher the level, the better the radius and the lifetime of it and the arrow frequency. And it shoots any arrows that are in the quiver. Granted, when I say that, it doesn't use the arrows. So for instance, we can put in like that poison, the freeze, blindness, wither, all that stuff. And then when we then summon a warden and then just call that spot down, you can see then he'll just gain some effects and whatnot. But if we look into our quiver, we're not using any spots. Now, granted, if we go into like normal mode, right, it still doesn't. Next up is the Rage Glove. You got 2 ways of leveling it. One is the passive way of just, attacking stuff in general, and you just passively level it up. The second one is you have an active ability that when you hit the target, you'll get 1 experience point. So first up, the Berserk Rage. Basically, when you're attacking enemies, whatnot, within 3 seconds, you're going to gain charges. And the more charges you have, you take more damage, but you also do more damage. Then the second ability, you have basically just passive regen. The less health you have, you get more, regen, movement speed, and attack speed. Third ability just dashes the enemies in front and then set them on fire and applying bleed. So if we were to summon the warden, let me just do this. If we were to summon the warden and we put on the rage gloves, we could just do splurt and you can see now he's bleeding on fire. And that 1 attack, right? We did 50 damage. If you were to hold your diamond sword or whatever sword you have, you can also do that and it also attacks with the sword. So you can see instead of doing 50 damage, we did now 80. Next up, the Reflecting Necklace. You get 1 experience point for every damage accumulated, so you just have to take damage to level it up. How the Infernal Hatred works. Within 5 seconds of taking damage, it will release a thing, or if you took 57 damage, then it will release the ability. So that is your caveat, either 5 seconds or you hit your damage buffer. You throw obsidian fragments in all directions and it will do damage related to, here. But you could activate it by going out of combat and then that's when it's going to trigger after that 5 seconds. And then you'll see it, bam, and just it instant killed all of them except the babies because I'm guessing it's out of their hitbox range. Next up is the roller skates. You get 1 experience point for every second of acceleration. And you can see you have at max level, let me just lower it down. You got 6 seconds and multiplier of 50% per second. So from here, we can increase up to 300% movement speed. And then you just put them on and you can just see you kind of like slide in it like roller skates, right? And then you hit a peak. So the Space Dissector, if you ever played Portal, works similar to that. 1 experience point for every created portal if there is an existing one. How it works is you just hold down the right mouse button and then just look where you want to go and just release it. And you can bring pets with you. Simple answer is you can just hold right there. You can see portals formed and I aim it over there, right? I just walk into the beam, bam, it takes me, it launches me out. I go to this one, You can also just transport animals if that's what you want. I could just do this and then just put an animal and there he goes. Look at them all. You can also use it to like hold them. So if you need to traverse like a hill or something, an idea. And just in case I didn't explain it well enough, all you're doing is you're holding down the right mouse button and the portal forms, right? I'm still holding it down. You can see this gold thing, right? This is where you're aiming it and it like lets you go where you want to go. If you just click the right mouse button and that's it, it doesn't do anything. Like there is no endpoint. Like it's super tiny the endpoint, so you have to remember hold it down. The Shadow Glaive, a very good one and very strong. One experience point for every 2 bounces. So Bind Justice, basically what it does is a range damage and has a bounce limit and a bounce radius and a recovery time. So simple answer is just think of it like a range ability, right? You just right click one time and you can see you're throwing out like a little shuriken, like a ninja star, right? And it bounces them out like amongst themselves. And you can see that we have 8 charges total. And you can see down there every time we go down, well, now it's just a disc and it no longer does anything. That's where like those 14 seconds for recovery is. Once you unlock level 5, you unlock Merciless Punishment. Now this thing is very good. At 5 and 5, damage interval 1.5, hit interval 0.76. So as long as you have all 8 blades attached, what you can do is crouch and then right click and you throw a little frisbee. Now the frisbee stays there. All right, well, this is just going to be a proof of concept. Obviously, there's not going to be this many zombies, right? But what we can do is just, for instance, say we're right here. We turn that on. They all see me. I do that, throw it under there, and come up here with my grappling hook. And then you can kind of see them all just going onto the disc, right? Just proof of concept. Next up is the Spore Sack. Both experience gains is just passive. There's no way of really activating it. One is just taking hit and then a chance of a spore to drop, and then the other one is a chance that it splits into smaller ones. But the first ability, when you take damage, you throw a spore in a random direction, sticks to surfaces, explodes when the target approaches, dealing damage, poisoning, slowing, and blocking healing for 5 seconds. You can obviously level it up, and it will do a lot better, and you can lower the cooldown. On low level, every 10 seconds, a spore thing will happen, and if I just bump up that level all the way, now every 3.6 seconds, that spore thing will happen. So I'll just go into this mode and I'll throw zombies. And then you'll see when it get hit. Oh, I spaced out there. Let me put this on. There you go. Ball happens. I run over to it. And it explodes. And you can see it just turned into like a mini one. That is the third ability. And then you do have an active ability with the poison release where I think it's something about like with the charges of it, you could then just release and it will throw out more little ones. So all about spores, really. Basically, this one's more of like a support thing. There's no real active way of playing it, I don't think. The Spatial Sign. You gain 1 experience point for every second of the return ability. It only has 1 ability, Time Rift. Basically, you run and it just remembers your last 4 seconds, right? So if we just bump this up to max, we get almost 14 seconds. And basically what I mean by that is I can go all the way up here. Say we're on a mountain, right? I'm like, oh no, like I'm exploring. Oh no, no, no. I fell to my death, right? Well, I could just click it at the end and it will just take us back, right? 14 seconds, which is bad because if you were using a grappling hook, as you can see, it launched me all the way back to the ground. Because again, right, 4 seconds, we'll jump, almost touch the ground, and then just click it. That's the only scary part right there. Wasn't long enough to bring us back. Woolly Mittens, 1 experience point for every 5 units of size when hit by a snowball from the ability Mold. And you only have one thing. You just collect snow using the right mouse button with an empty hand, and you gradually form a special solid snowball. And you can see, depending on the size, you increase your damage, the frostbite, and the maximum size, as well as stun per unit. This would be low level right here. And basically how it works is, say we got snow, we just right click, right? A bunch of snow. And this is the small ball, right? You can right click and it gets bigger. There you go. Sadly, they do not stack, right? They're by themselves. Well, what you can do with these guys is, well, there's a cow, right? We can just throw it at them and they're stunned. And yeah, at low level, not very strong, but higher level, it gets better. Because same thing, right? If we go to God mode real quick and say we just had a bunch of snowballs, right? What we can do is summon ourselves a warden. And then I'll just do this real quick. Toggle that off, throw it on, and you can see he's stunned for 2 seconds. I throw another ball at him, punch him, throw another ball at him, and essentially you stun lock him once again. And that is the snowball. It does apparently have an AoE damage. I don't know, it doesn't really work well for me. Because it says there you go, freezes targets nearby. But make sure you always have your snow mittens on because you can see right now I have all these balls. If I take them off, we are now freezing. And if we are in survival mode, we are now taking frozen damage. All you gotta do is put your gloves on and then you'll be fine. And last but not least, the magic mirror. You gain 1 experience point for every 50 blocks you teleport. And the only ability this thing has is it teleports you to your respawn point. You do have a max distance it will work. For instance, this one is 950 and you recharge it in 103 seconds. If we level this up all the way to max, we can now teleport 5,700 blocks. Recharge time is 52 seconds. And this does work in the Skull Cavern. It does not work in the Nether. But it's as simple as you just hold it and bam, takes you to your bed. And then here you go. Near the bottom of the Skull Cavern, you can still see our thing is green, meaning we can teleport. So we just hold it and bam. So if you don't have an escape rope and you are not near those Skull Cavern teleports near the bottom, you can use your thing to teleport home. Now, I'm not going to go through all of them. Just do @relic in your JEI, and then you just press R while hover overing it, and you can see certain ones will let you craft them. For instance, the Blazing Flask, you can craft it. You just need 4 Blazefish, that Blaze Hook, a Production Science Pack, 2 Blaze Wine Pots, and a Blaze Burner. The Magic Mirror you can craft. Need 8 Prismatic Shards and a Silver Mirror. The Spore Sack you can create. So you can go ahead and look through all these things, all the stuff that you can make and what you get. But that is all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know down in the comments which relic was your favorite. But I'll see you guys in the next one. God bless, goodbye, and good night.